Good morning. In our lecture today, I'm going to make a revision about our course. The first point we discussed was related to human resource management in a changing environment. And now you know that human resource management is a subset of management and it has five main goals: attracting employees, hiring employees, training employees, motivating employees, and finally retain employees. And also, you know that human resource management operates in a global business environment. And we discussed the changing world of technology. Human resource management information system. Human resource manager use technology. And finally, in this chapter, we discuss the human resource manager help workers adapt to continuous improvement changes. In our second chapter, human resource management functions and strategy, we discussed strategic human resource management provides a clear connection between the organization's goals and the activities of employees. And now you know that human resource management has four basic functions, and this includes staffing, training and development, motivation, and retain employees. And then we discussed external influences affect human resource management functions. And these includes dynamic environment, laws and regulations, labor union, and finally management thoughts. Okay, our next chapter related to effective job analysis. And through this chapter, we discussed human resource planning and human resource must ensure staff levels meet strategic planning goals. And now you know that job analysis is a systematic exploration of the activities within a job. And finally, we discussed together job analysis methods such as observation and individual interview. And through this chapter, we discussed together recruiting definitions, goals of recruiting, and then discussed factors that affecting recruiting, and we discussed the recruiting sources, and we differentiate between two main sources: internal sources and external sources. And finally, we draw your attention to a global perspective to recruiting. Okay, then we moved to another chapter related to foundation of selection. And I draw your attention to the selection process initial, and this includes initial screening, completing the application, pre-employment testing, comprehensive interviews, conditional offers, background investigation, medical investigation, job offers, and finally the comprehensive approach. In the second part, in this section, in this chapter, foundation of selection, we discussed together the comprehensive approach, and then draw your attention to the key elements for successful predictors. And this includes first, reliability, second, validity, third, cut scores, and fourth, concurrent validity, predictive validity. And then draw your attention to the selection from a global perspective. And finally, in this part, we discussed excelling at the interview. Then we moved to another chapter related to socializing, orienting, and developing employees. Part 1. In this part, we also discussed the outsider insider passage, socialization, assumptions of employee socialization, the socialization process, and this includes three main steps or stages. First, pre-arrival stage. Second, encounter stage. Third, metamorphosis stage. And then discuss the purpose of new employee orientation. And we discussed the role of CEO in orientation and the role of HRM in orientation. Finally, we discussed the employee handbook. Okay, then we discussed in socializing, orienting, and developing employees, part 2. In part 2, we discussed together employee training and employee development. Then draw your attention to employee development methods. And this includes job rotation, assistant to positions, committee assignment, lecture courses and seminars, simulations, and adventure training. Then we discussed organization development, and clarifying for you evaluating training and development effectiveness. And finally, we discussed together international training and development issues. Okay, then we move to another chapter related to managing careers. And through this chapter, we clarified for you what is a career, and we discussed individual versus organizational perspective, career development, value for the organization, career development, value for the individual. And then we moved to monitoring and coaching. Then we draw your attention to traditional career stages, and this includes five main stages. First, exploration. Second, establishment. Third, mid-career. Fourth, late career. And finally, decline stage. Then we moved to career choices and preferences. And finally, we discussed enhancing your career. Okay, this was a quick revision about our course. Thank you and good luck.